Hey, Jack.
Hey, Trevor, how are you?
I'm doing great. Welcome back to another episode of Hey, Jack, Leadership Reflections with Jack Nalig. Jack, I have a very interesting topic today. This is one that I honestly wish that we had this specific episode of this podcast without even knowing what it's going to unfold. I wish I had this, though, several years ago. And the reason for that is the topic I want to talk about today is going from a peer and a colleague into a leadership role and what that transition actually looks like. And more so, how do you make that jump from, a colleague into a leadership position, and how do you do so without losing credibility? This is
Mm.
something that I was on my mind. I kind of researched it a lot as I went through that. And any reflections or insights that you have here today, I think could help a lot of people going through a similar process.
Yeah, great, wonderful topic. And if you think about it, this topic is one no one can escape if they're going to be a leader. Everybody has to. You
Yeah.
don't get your first job as a leader typically, right? You get your first job as an individual contributor in some way in the company, and then you start wondering whether you want to be a leader, or the company starts looking at your skills and says, maybe that person should be a leader. So if you're a leader, you've probably gone through this process. And I vividly remember my first leadership role. And a lot of people do this too. You get a leader title without anybody working for you.
Yeah.
And that's a leadership role where you have to reach out and sort of manage people around you for projects. And then there's the day when you actually get people working for you. And that's a big moment. So my reflections are this. So first and foremost, everybody who faces that moment, there's a awkward dichotomy, I guess you would say. I think a lot of people will be excited to get the job, you know, maybe not all, but most. Let's say 80-20 rule. They're excited to get the job, and then they automatically find out they feel awkward
Yeah.
doing the job.
That's how I
It's a
felt.
You're like, "I'm here, but oh my gosh, am I doing it right?" Right? I mean, you immediately go through this awkward dichotomy. Like, you got it, now it's the old, "Be careful what you wish for," right? You got it. Um, so I think the thing that makes this tough is you most of these promotions, again, 80-20, are within the company. You established yourself maybe out of college or whatever, 5-6 years as an individual contributor. You've got this potential. You started studying leadership. You made it. So everybody in the company knows you, and you know a lot of people. And so I think that the awkward dichotomy comes about because it's like all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
You get all these emails, congratulations, congratulations, great. So 80 people congratulate you. And then all of a sudden you immediately realize there's 80 times two eyes, 160 eyes looking at you to see if you're going to do good. So now you got all these people looking at you, and it's not even the 3 people or 4 people that work for you. So you feel like you're in this massive spotlight when truly you're not. But I think it's all self-imposed uh, anxiety right in the beginning. Are you going to do a good job? That's the big deal. So a couple of more thoughts on it, right? The first thing you should do when you get that job is you should immediately have a good long conversation, and it can be long as in over several weeks, small chunks, but making sure you connect with your boss and the details of your boss's expectations. Your boss your boss will have these ways he or she likes to operate, and you're a new leader under them, and you have peer leaders, right? So you want to know your boss's expectations about leadership first, because that's one spotlight that's going to be on you. It's called your boss. Um, the second thing you want to do, of course, is immediately, you can do it in a group setting with your team, depending on the size of your group, or you can do individuals, or both. I think I would do both. Is get a lot of individual perspective on what your leadership role should be from your team, because they're the most important part right there. And they've had an experience with the previous manager or previous managers, and they know what they like and don't like.
Yeah.
So it's really not great to connect with them and ask them right out of the bat, as opposed to you coming in and saying, here's how I operate. You all will follow my rules. You go in, hey, I want to learn from you all. I want to understand what makes you tick and how we can improve your efficiencies and make you the best that you can be. So I need to learn from you all about what I need to do for you. And that is literally the best way to start, your manager journey, right? Um, and then you can move on to your own structure and ideas. But I would only do that after you've cleared things up with your boss, make sure it's right, your own peers, your own people. And then I did leave out, and I just stumbled on it. You want to do the same process with your peer managers. Big, big, important step to make sure those peer managers can tell you their previous frustrations or the way they like to work or the most important things to them. Because you got the boss, you got your peers, and you got your people. Those three different axes, if you will, all need to be covered up in this transition from peer to manager. And once you go through all that, this may take you 30 to 60 days to do it right, do it cautiously, do it sincerely. Those 60 days end, you're probably feeling a lot better about what you're doing and what you need to go do. And then I have maybe two more tips. The next thing you do after you develop all that knowledge is you build your staff meeting structure with your staff. Like, how are you going to, what's your pulse? How are you going to work with them? And when you have a staff meeting, what are they going to do? Who's going to present what? Once you get to that point where you understand everybody's stuff, and then now you got to organize and do it. Just always think about, okay, what's my staff meeting structure going to be like? And I'd build it, frame it, give it to the team, say, do you like it? Make sure everybody's happy with the way they're going to do it. And then you run it. And then my big one was always taking the notes myself, not asking others to do it, only when you're on vacation, of course. But that's important to them. And then you send the notes out right after the staff meeting, and everybody can ping them back if they read something different. And then that discipline of a well-built staff meeting structure and sending out those notes right afterward, that's what makes you quickly start feeling more comfortable with what's going on. So that's about it, although I'd offer one caution, and this is probably the most awkward thing, I think, in a peer-to-manager transition. And that is, if you are competing with one of your peers for the same job. So there might have been 6 people working the department, 2 people both wanted the job, and one gets it and one doesn't. And now that one that didn't is working for you.
Yeah.
And the first thing we can all conclude is that person's thinking they could have done a better job than you.
Yeah.
So there's where the eyes are always going to be on you. And I would simply recommend to anybody that has that situation, address it head on right in the beginning. Have a 4 eyes meeting, a nice discussion. Ask them what their goals are in their career. Make sure you tell them that you're going to be there to help develop them so that the next job that comes around, they're good for it. And just try to build a relationship with that individual. And if you believe in them and if you believe they're really capable, then you give them, they're a high target for delegation of things to help them develop. But you don't want to shy away from it. You want to address that one really head on, because if you don't, you're going to lose the respect of that individual, and they're probably pretty capable and they're probably pretty smart. So you want to make sure you're there for them too. And then
Yeah.
you're not going to view it as a competition that they lost and you won. That's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So those are the thoughts I had from peer to manager transition.
Yeah. Those are great. I really appreciate that last nugget there. That is incredibly common across most companies. And I love how you look at the positive there. And it's one of the things I naturally try to think about as well is if these were individuals that you are competing with, for that position, these are high performers in most scenarios. You're walking into a rock star of an opportunity with a great team. And I think a lot of times, that is a very difficult conversation and situation to navigate. And I think
Uh,
your advice there is very good in the sense of just have the difficult conversation, get it out of the way, versus acting like it never happened. Then there's all these unspoken, tensions and so to speak. The second thing I would say is I feel like you were a fly on the wall describing my exact experience in my transition where you get the email, 80 people congratulating you, and then you kind of freeze up. And the tip that I would add here, and this is somebody gave me this tip, was they said, you know, you're in a new leadership position now. Like, take a deep breath, soak it in, talk to everybody around you, get as much intel and input as you can. And that advice that you gave of talking to your manager, your boss, I think it's critical because I think it's easy for people to hop into a leadership position and now just assume they already had a working relationship and assume everything's the same. Whereas maybe those expectations jump now that you're a leader. They have their own leadership approach and stuff. It's good to have that conversation. And then your advice is spot on. I think maybe you gave me this advice, or somebody else from your leadership team gave it to me when I first became a leader. And you mentioned it, talk to your team. And that's one of the things that I did, which was very beneficial, was took each one of them out to lunch individually, seeing how they preferred to work, what they enjoyed previously, what they didn't enjoy. And I uncovered a lot of great information that helped make my job easier moving forward. And it was just simple, small things that if had I not had that conversation, I wouldn't have known that. And that was just a small thing that helped set me up for success.
and the other thing you did there is right off the bat, you made the work environment better.
Yeah,
You didn't just do what they wanted. You 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 addressed concerns that were underlying in the team, right? That were
yeah.
the problems that were and by doing that, then the work environment's better. So the first thing your people experience is a better work environment.
Yeah. And one of the things I told every single individual when I moved into that capacity that I talked to was I said, look, I don't have this all figured out. This is new to me as well. There's things I'm gonna have a couple foot fouls like in tennis, and that's okay. We'll address those, keep moving on. But it is that open communication as
Yeah.
well. So I appreciate you mentioning that. And I think this is a great blueprint. Uh, I stand by what I said at the beginning of this episode. I wish I had this episode now many, many years ago when I made that transition. So I appreciate these insights and these reflections, Jack.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was great. Great topic.
Great. Awesome. Well, I hope everybody else that's listening to this took as much out of this as I did personally, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks, Jack.
Take care, everybody. Go lead.